Hello, Makako, and good afternoon. Mahalo for joining us today here the AEN hearing. It's Monday, March 23rd, and we're convened in room 224 and video conferencing, which includes the audio and video of remote participants that's being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that the hearing is cut short, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business on Wednesday, March 25th at 3:05 p.m. here in room 224 during AEN's time slot, and a public notice will be posted on the legislature's website. And because of our 90-minute time limit for hearings, there'll be a 2-minute time limit for all testifiers, and we'll have a virtual countdown timer on the Zoom screen. So starting off, HB 1953, establishing a 2-year conservation and ag environmental stewardship pilot program within the Department of Ag and Biosecurity. First up is DAB.
Fellow Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee, writing you from the Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, we stand on our written testimony and support.
Thank you. Next, Brian Miyamoto from Hawai'i Farm Bureau.
Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Rose, Brian Miyamoto on behalf of the Hawai'i Farm Bureau will stand on our written testimony and support.
Okay, next is Nicole Galase from the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council on Zoom.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Chair, quick comment on that.
Yes.
I just received a message. She just lost power.
Oh.
So she was planning on being there,
Okay.
but she can't
Thank you.
be on.
Next is Hunter Hevelin on Zoom from Hawaii
Also,
Farm.
also not present on Zoom, Chair.
Next is Amanda Shaw from Ag Stewardship Hawaii.
Aloha,
Hello,
Chair
Amanda.
Gabbard, Vice Chair Richard, member of the committee, Amanda Shaw, Agriculture Stewardship Hawaii. Thank you for hearing this bill. I think in this time where we're seeing so many impacts across the state of this flooding, the moment to invest in conservation agriculture, good agricultural practices is really apparent, and that's what this bill would do. There are some federal programs that do this, but they're not really very well adapted to Hawaii's agriculture. So we really see this as an opportunity to partner and support farmers to do things around, protecting waterways, establishing native species on their farms, and a bunch of other efforts. And so just really appreciate the opportunity to testify here for any questions.
Thank you, Amanda. Let's see, anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Seeing none, we'll go on to the next measure. It is HB 2548, HD1, establishing the Climate Resilient Food Systems Grant Program within DAB. And on this last measure, by the way, on 1953, we had 37 in support, 0 opposed, and 0 comments. So next is DAB on 2548.
That's written testimony and support.
Thank you. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Hawai'i Farm Bureau will stand on its written testimony in support.
And we had the Hawaii Cattlemen's Council, Nicole. She, if she shows up, she can testify then, but she is in, they are in support. Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? So let's see, question for DAB. So could you tell us what are some of the types of special purpose equipment or technology that farmers might or others might be taking advantage of via the funding from these grants?
Sure. The middle of the supply chain would be like a poi mill, poi processing for those farmers that want to get together, a coffee roasting machine for coffee growers. One unique one that Pico Provisions used was for processing and packaging equipment for their baby food to take them to the next level. The Ahiki Farms, I believe the equipment they got was harvesting equipment and things to help them mobilize around their farm. So there's a myriad of stuff that all they need is this, and then they could expand.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else as far as questions? on this measure, on HB 2548, there were 31 in support, 0 opposed, and 0 comments. Moving on, HB 2246 creates an ag grant program and revolving fund for the purposes of grant application, execution, reporting, and auditing to be administered by DAB. And on the last measure, there were 31 in support, 0 opposed, 0 comments. First up on 2246 is Dab.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the Committee, Roads. Sharon Hurd, Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. This is our only administration bill, and we strongly support it and hope that you will consider moving it forward because it does open up a door to additional funding from the federal entities, state, county, private. This is a fund that is of no cost to the state, except that the NICRA, the negotiated indirect cost rate that is part of every grant that we apply for, it's eligible, 12.5% or 12.5% is given to the state as an indirect cost to cover costs that we would take internally to administer the grant. What we're asking is that 50% of this, the grant funding that comes in, the NICRA, half of that go into a special fund for the department so that we can use that as matching, because we do lose some grant opportunities because we can't cover the match, but it would allow us to confidently sign the letter of match commitment. It would allow us to do some research, to travel, to get more supporters for a grant. It would certainly enhance our ability to bring in more funding. So we're asking for 50% of the NICRA that's from the grants that we do get awarded to be deposited into the fund for the purpose of generating more revenue. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. Next is Brian Miyamoto from Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Mr. Chair, the Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on this written testimony in support.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions? I have a question for Dab. Sharon? So what's the criteria? What will the criteria be for awarding these grants to the ag sector?
To the debt, you're talking about from the Ag Fund?
Yeah. the awarding
Okay,
grant.
so for instance, if there is a grant that we lost out on, an opportunity for livestock, it was for a mobile slaughterhouse, and the grant was for $500,000, but we were required to do a 25% match. We did not have the $125,000 to commit to get this cut wrap chill facility to support the mobile slaughterhouse. It was a good grant. My estimation, sir, is that we would have gotten it, but we lost out on the opportunity. So those are the kinds of grants that we're pretty sure we're going to get. We have a very good chance, but we cannot even apply for it because we don't have a commitment from for the match.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Okay, on this measure, there were 25 in support, 0 opposed, and 0 comments. Moving on to the next measure. HB 2549 establishes a clean plant program within DAB to support the production, maintenance, and distribution of disease-free, clean plant material to growers, nurseries, and other ag producers in the state. And first up is DAB.
That stands on his written testimony in support.
Thank you. Brian Miyamoto from Hawaii Farm Bureau.
The Hawaii Farm Bureau will stand on this written testimony in support.
Okay, anyone else wishing to testify on 2549? Please.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Committee. Jocelyn Herbert on behalf of the Reforestation Policy and Investment Hui. Here with my colleagues from Parker Ranch and Forest Solutions in the back. We are a group of more than 20 organizations, ranches, academic institutions, forestry businesses, conservation groups, all supporting reforestation policy advancing across Hawaii for all the multiple benefits that it provides. We have submitted some written testimony on this measure, and believe that clean plant material is going to be very important as we continue to try to expand at scale reforestation across Hawaii. So available for any questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Members' questions? And for Dab, question for Dab? So Sharon, how much appropriation is Dab feeling that we need to implement this Clean Plant Initiative?
When we submitted it earlier to the CODEL, we asked for 1.7, but that was for 5 stations for tissue culture and regrowth. We're asking for 3 stations now, and that would be about 750,000.
Okay, thank you. All right, on this measure, there are 6 in support, 0 opposed, and 0 comments. Moving on to HB 2551, HD1. Relating to ag, appropriates funds for the area-wide fruit fly suppression program. First up is Dab.
That's as written testimony.
Okay, next is Parwinder Grewal from UH. Thank you, Dean. Brian Miyamoto from Hawaii Farm Bureau.
The Hawaii Farm Bill was done on this written testimony in support.
Okay. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure, 2551? Members, any questions?
Yeah.
Senator Richards.
Okay, Sharon. This reminds me of the New World Screwworm type of initiative. Realistically, what kind of money are we talking about to get this done?
1.7.
To get it done? You're confident?
I'm confident.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, we'll have something else here, Sharon. So what happened since the 5-year collaboration in 1999 with USDA, CTAR, and, well, back then it was DOA, to address the fruit fly problem?
Oh, that's right. This is the fruit fly bill. Not much.
It said there was progress.
Yeah, I can get back to you on that. My fruit fly expertise is not with me right now. But what we've done with the UHCTAR, the progress we've made is we've provided sterile fruit flies to many, many locations in the world, including the domestic US. I think we were able to mitigate the outbreak that they had in Florida, California, I think Taiwan, by providing them with the sterile fruit flies at that time. What we're trying to do is like massively, like they're trying to do with the New World Screwworm. But with the New World Screwworm, they want 500 million sterile fruit flies a week. Now, we're not as aggressive as that, but we think that if we can get close to a statewide release, we can really do damage to these, to this sterile fruit flies, so, to the fruit fly population. So, yeah, the progress I would say is that we've pretty much helped the world, and much to their appreciation, but we've not really had a chance to do much for us, I would say.
Yeah, I'd like details about,
Okay.
the practices continued after that. And, yeah.
Will do.
anything that's fine. All right, thank you.
We're good.
Senator, I'd like a chance to send you an update to that, because I thought we were talking about another bill. So
Okay.
1.7 for now, but I think it's more massive than that. I think the number that comes to mind is 10 million.
Okay, that's
The last one
why
I heard,
saw
yeah.
you sure
I heard
1.7.
that's the number that I'm thinking of. Now,
Yeah, but-
1.7 was clean plant.
Yeah, and the technology works well.
Oh, my God, yes.
It's just a matter of implementing it, so,
Yeah. Biocontrol,
yeah.
Okay, 2551, there were 9 in support, 0 opposed, 1 comment. Moving on to 2216, House Bill authorizing DAB to package and sell a portion of its ag loan portfolio to permitted third parties. First up is DAB.
That stands on as written testimony in support.
Okay. 216, next is Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau.
The Hawaii Farm Bill was done on this written testimony in support.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on this measure? Members, any questions? Okay, I have none. There's 4 in support, 0 opposed, and 0 comments. And moving on to the final measure on our 3 o'clock agenda today is HB 2152, clarifies owner liability and increases penalties and enforcement mechanisms for dog attacks on livestock occurring on land or premises within the ag district. Okay, let's see. First up is Hawaii Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bill was down, it's written testimony in support, and also Sharon just got a message from, on the COVID lawsuit that counts as much as she'd like to be on it, she's not, she said her house was just struck by lightning.
Wow. Okay,
She really wanted to be on.
okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, Stephanie Kendrick from Hawaiian Humane Society on Zoom.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Okay. Roland Yartsoff from Hawaii Sheep and Goat Association on Zoom.
Aloha, Chair,
Hello.
Vice Chair, and committee members. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, very well. I submitted written testimony. There's one correction I would add to that. It is also from Chapter 8 of California law that the initial draft was based on. I'm here largely to make myself available for any questions that the committee members may have about any elements within the proposed bill, if there are any concerns you have. I have also read the written testimony submitted by other people. If there are questions or response that you would wish that I make to some of the points made by testimony, I'm available to do so.
Okay, thank you, Roland. Hunter Hedlund from Hawaii Farmers Union on Zoom.
Not present on Zoom, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on 2152? Members, any questions? On 2152, we had 12 in support, 0 opposed, and 1 comment. Okay, members, move right into decision making. All right. On the first measure, HB 1953, on the 2-year conservation and ag environmental stewardship pilot program. Excuse me. Chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendments with an amendment to defect the date to July 1st, 2050. Further conversation, further discussion. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
Just a second, Chair, catching up with
Sure.
paperwork. Yep, got it. On House Bill 1953, House Draft 1, passing with amendments. Chair votes aye, Vice Chair votes aye. Senator DeCoit is excused. Senator Rhodes? Aye. Senator Awa? Aye. Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. On HB 2548, establishing the Climate Resilient Food Systems Grant Program. Let's see, 2548. Yes, the recommendation will be to pass with an amendment to defect the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On House Bill 2548, House Draft 1, passing with amendments. Of the 4 members in attendance, is any voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. HB 2246, relating to Ag Grant Administration. Chair's recommendation will be to pass with technical amendments. Any discussion? Chair votes aye. Vice Chair?
On House Bill 2242, House Draft 1, passing with amendments. Of the 4 members in attendance, anybody voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor. Motion is adopted.
Thank you, members. On HB 2549, relating to Ag Production, Main Plant Program. Let's see. 2549. Chair's recommendation will be to pass with technical amendments. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On House Bill 2549, House Draft 1, passing with amendments. Of the 4 members in attendance, anybody voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor.
Thank you, members. On HB 2551, funding for the area-wide fruit fly suppression program. The recommendation will be to pass with technical amendments. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On House Bill 2551, House Draft 1, passing with amendments. Of the 4 members in attendance, any voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
Thank you. And HB 2216, relating to ag loans. The chair's recommendation will be to pass with amendment to defect the date to July 1st, 2050. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On House Bill 2216, House Draft 2, of the 4 members in attendance, anybody voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion adopted.
Thank you, members. And on the final measure, HB 2152, relating to dog attacks. The chair's recommendation will be to pass with the amendment to adopt the Hawaiian Humane Society's suggested language to clarify that upon finding that a dog caused the loss of or damage to livestock, the judge shall order the dog to be surrendered to an animal control officer for humane euthanasia within 24 hours. Any discussion? Chair votes aye.
On HB 2152, House Draft 2, passing with amendments of the 4 members in attendance, anybody voting with reservations? Any no votes? Chair, you have 4 in favor, motion is carried.
Thank you, members, and that concludes the 3 o'clock AEN.